In 2024, the biggest rapper on the planet named his album after a car. Not a Ferrari, not a Lamborghini. A Buick. Kendrick Lamar called it GNX.
And most listeners had no idea why. Because the real GNX is one of the strangest stories in car history.
A plain black Buick that ran down Ferraris at the stoplight. A car General Motors deliberately lied about. Then shut down after a single year. Just 547 were ever built.
Today, they sell for six figures.
This is the car GM tried to bury.
To see why this is so strange, picture Buick in the 1980s. Buick built soft, quiet cars. Comfortable sedans for retirees. The badge your grandfather trusted. Nobody bought a Buick to go fast. And the era made it worse. By the mid-80s, American performance was basically dead. Emissions rules had strangled the V8. A Corvette of that time made about 230 horsepower. Muscle cars were a memory. So here's the part most people miss. The fastest American car of the decade didn't come from Chevrolet. It didn't come from a sports car brand at all. It came from Buick, the retirement brand. And it didn't even use a V8. A few engineers inside Buick had a stubborn idea. Take the boring Regal, the beige midsize family Regal, and turn it into a weapon.
Not with cubic inches,
but with a turbocharger.
Bolted to a small V6.
On paper, it sounded ridiculous. A Turbo 6 in a grandpa's coupe. Their own bosses barely believed in it. But that strange little engine was about to embarrass Detroit.
And it started on a racetrack.
In the early 80s, Buick was winning in NASCAR. Not with a V8, with a turbocharged V6. So Buick brought that idea to the street. They took the Regal and painted it all black. Blackout trim, black wheels, no chrome. They called it the Grand National.
Named after the NASCAR series Buick was dominating.
It looked like something out of a nightmare.
Fans nicknamed it Darth Vader's car.
Under the hood sat a 3.8-liter turbocharged V6. Small by American standards. But boosted, it punched far above its size. Most muscle cars roared.
The Grand National hissed.
The whistle of the turbo spooling up. Then a shove in the back. Every year, Buick turned it up. In 1986, they added an intercooler. Cooler air, more boost, more power. The numbers kept climbing. Magazines started to notice.
This quiet black Buick was eating V8s alive.
It looked like a car for your accountant. It drove like a street racer. Word spread through the underground. If you saw a black Grand National pull up, you did not want to race it.
It became the ultimate sleeper.
But Buick knew the end was coming. The Regal platform was being retired. So for 1987, they wanted a grand finale. Not just another Grand National. The most extreme one ever. A true send-off. Buick handed the project to outside specialists. A company called ASC McLaren. Their job? Build the fastest Buick in history.
They built the GNX.
GNX stood for Grand National Experimental. And experimental was the right word. ASC McLaren reworked almost everything. A bigger Garrett turbo. A better intercooler. A reprogrammed engine. They strengthened the chassis. Added a special rear suspension to put the power down. Fender vents, black mesh wheels. A unique dash with analog gauges. It looked meaner than anything Buick had ever made. And it was brutally quick.
Buick officially rated it at 276 horsepower. Remember that number, 276.
Because it was a lie.
We'll come back to that.
Buick built the GNX in tiny numbers. Each one hand-finished by ASC McLaren. When production stopped, the total was 547 cars. 547. That's it. Every one of them black. Each came with a numbered plaque. From the start, owners knew it was special. Some bought them and never drove them. They parked them brand new as investments. And those people were right. Because the GNX wasn't just rare. It was quietly the quickest car America sold.
Quicker than the Corvette. Quicker than a Ferrari Testarossa. Quicker than a Porsche 911 Turbo.
From a Buick, with a 6-cylinder. Car magazines ran it down the quarter mile. Clocked the low 13ths stock. 0 to 60 in under 5 seconds.
In 1987, almost nothing on Earth was faster off the line.
And yet GM said it made just 276 horsepower. The same as a Mustang GT. It didn't add up. The car was clearly far stronger than that. So why would Buick hide its own greatness?
The answer is pure corporate politics.
Inside General Motors, there was a pecking order. And at the top sat one car, the Corvette. The Corvette was Chevrolet's pride.
America's sports car, the Halo.
It was supposed to be the fastest thing GM sold. That was the rule. But the GNX broke it.
A family Buick was beating the Corvette.
To 60, and down the quarter mile. For GM, that was a nightmare.
Imagine the ad Buick, faster than Corvette.
Chevrolet would never allow it. So the solution was simple. Manage the numbers. Rate the GNX low on paper. 276 horsepower. Polite, modest figure. Independent tests suggest the real number was far higher. Many believe it was well over 300 at the wheels. On the street, it simply did not matter. The GNX walked away from the Corvette.
And here's the contrarian part.
GM building a giant slayer wasn't the scandal. The scandal was that they hid it on purpose.
They built the best performance car in America.
And then pretended it was ordinary. To protect the ego of another model. The enthusiasts knew the truth. The magazines printed the real test times. And the legend only grew.
Because nothing fuels a myth like a cover-up. A sleeper that beat Ferraris.
Underrated by its own maker. Sold by the brand nobody feared. It was the perfect underdog story. And it was about to disappear. Just as the GNX hit its peak. Buick pulled the plug.
The fastest car they ever made lasted 1 year.
By the end of 1987, it was over. The Regal platform was finished. And the GNX went with it. No sequel, no second generation. Just 547 cars and then silence. But the silence didn't last. Almost immediately, the GNX became a cult.
Collectors hunted down every survivor.
Low-mileage cars became holy grails. A GNX with delivery miles is a treasure. Prices climbed through the years. Then they exploded.
Clean examples now sell for well over $100,000.
The best low-mile cars push past $200,000. A 1987 Buick, worth more than most new supercars. Think about that. A car your grandfather could have ordered is now a 6-figure collector's piece. It sits in private collections worldwide. Shown at the biggest auctions. Treated like the legend it always was. The Grand National made the name. The GNX made it immortal.
And the story might have stayed in car circles.
Known only to enthusiasts. But then something unexpected happened. The GNX crossed over.
Out of the car world.
And onto the biggest stage in music.
Which brings us back to where we started.
In late 2024, Kendrick Lamar dropped an album.
He named it GNX. And he put a black Grand National on the cover.
The car he was born around, back in 1987. For Kendrick, the GNX meant something. Rare, underrated, quietly the best. Overlooked by the mainstream, worshipped by those who knew. It was the perfect symbol. Suddenly millions who'd never heard of it were asking, What is a GNX?
Now you know.
The plain black Buick that beat Ferraris.
The one GM tried to hide and could never keep down.